This is not just your average MMA show, baby. This is Brothers in Combat with Serge Vicente and Darnell Giovanni. No need to fight. Just listen up and get it right. Brothers in Combat, baby. We rolling! Yeah! All night long. Boom.
Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Not Your Average MMA Podcast, Brothers in Combat. I am a part of your hosting duo, Serge Vicente, the Fight Podcast, and to my left right here is none other than the mystic one, Darnell Giovanni. Brother, what it do, man? Welcome everybody to the show.
What up, what up? You saw me give the little John Jones eye poke right there because we got a lot to talk about, baby. What's good with you, brother?
Oh, dude, I am doing very well. Yo, it doesn't matter how many times I fucking hear Burt Watson on that intro. I can't get enough of it. Shout out to the legend Burt Watson, friend of the show, to coming on here, man. Love it, man. It was awesome.
We'll have him on here soon for sure. But we got a lot to talk about. We got so much to talk about.
man, you put big man already in the bag.
He's already there.
Look, I'm telling you, you're right. We got to talk about it. I hope everybody's doing well. It is Tuesday morning here, wherever you're living. I guess unless you're in Australia or some weird shit. But we are out here getting active. And you know what? Let's just fucking jump into the show. This weekend, UFC 260 was the rematch. Look, it's right behind my man right there. It is the biggest rematch. UFC 260, Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight of all time. Arguably the greatest fighter of all time.
Facts.
I'm telling you. I don't know why people don't talk about this shit enough.
Facts.
But Stipe Miocic goes out there, and guess what? All the firepower, all the experience, everything that he had was not enough. Francis Ngannou goes out there. The coronation is absolutely complete. He gets a second round finish, KO finish, 54 seconds into the second round. Darnell, brother, when this happened, how did you feel? What was the thoughts going through your head when you saw this moment?
You saw my reaction as soon as that happened. I FaceTimed you, and I was just like, my eyes were popping out of my head. I did pick Stipe Miocic to win this fight, but as soon as Francis started that fight and I saw how patient he was, how much he wasn't running towards him very fast, he was just taking his time and being very, very tactical. And one very important thing is that he was calm. I know Francis Ngannou has had this issue before to where he'll just start rushing or he'll just try to get the person out of there as fast as possible. Has he done it before? Absolutely. He's knocked out his 4 previous opponents in under 70 seconds. So this is something he's never not done. But with Stipe, you have to be smart. You have to be very smart because he's good at counter-striking. He's good at wrestling. But as soon as Stipe even went for a takedown, Francis defended it.
Yo, when he defended that takedown, because I'm not going to stunt. When that shit happened, I sat up. My eyes got big. It was like that DiCaprio meme, right? It was like, oh, now you have my curiosity. Yo.
That was unbelievable to see. And Francis almost got his own takedown. If he really wanted it, I think he could have got it. But it just showed how big and powerful Francis is and how much he's learned in the past couple of years, in which we were very perplexed to see what he can do because his last fights have been so short. But in this fight, we saw a good amount of change in strategy, calmness, and just a tactical performance by the new heavyweight champion, Francis Le Puerel.
NGANNOU. Look, man, I think in our last episode, one of the questions that we're asking is how much could he have really improved over the last few years? And we really didn't know. And that's one thing we all said. We're assuming he's getting better, but we really didn't know because the last performances it's only been fucking 5 minutes of fight time in the last 3 years. So we didn't really know what was going on. But one thing I have to tell everybody is, not only has he gotten better, he's gotten a lot better. I mean, watching not only, and here's the thing, you hit it on the nose, right? He can absolutely go out there and just go berserk on anybody and just knock your face off if he feels like rushing you. Look what he did to Jorginho Rosenstrike, right? He literally just blitzed him, said, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. You have nothing for me. Let's get him the fuck out of here, right? But let's look at what he did. He respected Stipe Miocic. He understood the puzzle that he had in front of him. And a couple of things that I noticed is that at that pace, Francis could fight at that pace forever. You can't do anything with him. He's landing inside leg kicks. He's landing jabs to the body. I mean, and then when Stipe went in for that, and this is what I loved about it, right? Because Stipe did go in for the takedown, and originally what Francis did was he went right back to old habits. He grabbed him around the waist and he almost started panicking, and you saw it. But all of a sudden he calmed himself down. You can tell it was like, wait, I know what I'm doing. He stuffs the head, and then a la Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir, spun around the fucking back, landed some huge shots, and then, bro, the head kick. What the fuck, man? This dude looks like a monster that at the end of the day, I don't know if he fights like this. I don't know who can beat him.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think the cage made a difference for this fight? Because it was easy to cut. He was cutting Stipe off very easily.
You know what? I'll be very honest with you. I think a lot of people are saying that, but Stipe's big as shit too. You know what I'm saying? It's two heavyweights. Yes, if they had more space, they would. But he was cutting the ring off. That was strategic. He was doing. It doesn't matter how big the cage was or small. He would have done it regardless. That's what he was doing. He was cutting the ring off perfectly. I mean, he's really stepped up his game. I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Francis Ngannou. Hey, salute to the man. He has earned that. He earned it. He picked himself up. He adapted. He's grown. Dude, I'm so fucking excited for dude. We have 3 African champions. This shit is fucking lit.
and another thing too, as you said, Francis and maybe his conditioning or whatever like that, grabbing his waist. Francis went 5 rounds with Stipe the first round and first time around, and he was getting beat up for 5 rounds straight,
fucking
pummeled, and he lasted every round. So to a lot of people who were talking about, oh, he had his mouth open, he looked like he was tired. I don't think so. I think Francis always kind of fights with his mouth open. Honestly, if you look at his past fights, that's just the way he breathes, I guess. Everybody's different. But I don't think Francis is going to get tired. I don't think.
I heard that.
It might be just me mouth breather. There's some people who are just like that. I would not. But I feel that his conditioning was fine. There was nothing wrong with that. He didn't do anything to tire him out that much because he was being tactical with his shots. He wasn't throwing 10, 20 shots in a row back to back to back.
Now, let me ask you this, and I have a question for you because I think this is something that I don't think enough people are talking about. We mentioned it on our last show. For everybody listening, thank you all for listening live on YouTube, on Twitch, Facebook, everywhere else. I appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the show, Brothers in Combat. But we were talking about this last week. Go back and check it out. We definitely said this. But do you believe that the fights with Daniel Cormier for Stipe took a lot more out of him than people really wanted to admit?
Maybe they might have, but I can't really put that together because it's been a year since he fought Stipe. Since he fought Daniel Cormier, it's been a long time. Each one of those fights weren't back to back. They were a year apart. Literally, if you look at the time periods, it was at least 10, 12 months, sometimes a little bit over. So I hear you. Excuse me. He had time to recover. So I don't think that was a big thing. Maybe over time, yeah, for sure, because he's getting hit. That's a natural thing.
I'm going to be honest with you. 3 fights in a row with arguably the other greatest heavyweight of all time is going to take a little bit out of you. I think absolutely, especially in those last few, because we forget, yes, he's had time to recover, but not only has he had his injuries, he's had different things. Yo, DC was beating his ass most of those 3 fights. So
I wouldn't say the third one. Maybe the first.
Most of those. Okay,
most of 3.
First
Okay.
And second fight.
Yeah.
Again, if there's 2 fights, then he does.
Yeah, 2
most
out of
the
3.
fights.
Yeah. 75%.
He was beating his ass most of these times. So if he's over here really tuning his ass up, that took. And I was listening to DC say something, and even if for DC, he said that during that last fight, he said he knew he left a piece of himself in there. I'm telling you. You can't go 3 back-to-back fights with that. And then think about this. It was those 3 fights with DC. The fight before that was fucking Francis Ngannou.
Mm-hmm. And that one for sure.
He's been in here with 2 of the hardest, most devastating fighters in the world. I just think he was in shape. I think he looked great. He really did. But at the end of the day, I think DC took a piece of him that he'll never get back.
maybe, but I'm still gonna give that credit to Francis and for
I'm not taking anything away from Francis.
I know.
I'm not taking anything away from Francis. I'm just saying, that's just keeping it a beam.
Yeah, but Francis caught him so clean, and that was a big thing about that first fight and the second fight. The first fight, Francis I think he caught him clean once in that first round, but this time, my Lord, man, you can't get couple times he caught him clean, and then that final time was just like woof. But Stipe was starting to get good. He caught him with a very good counter strike that I was just like, if he didn't move forward there, he could have had something.
That was his undoing.
Yeah,
that was his undoing.
He could have had something. It almost mimicked the Woodley fight previous to where you catch somebody, then all of a sudden you're just running forward into somebody that can hit you pretty hard. So I don't know what cobwebs Stipe was having there because he got caught against the cage a couple times. I think he still was in some kind of a weird motion there, but Francis caught him clean. He literally
caught him with the exact same shot that Stipe knocked out. He's tuning up DC with. Mm-hmm. He's the same shot that he knocked out Fabricio Verdum with.
Yep.
It's literally the exact same punch.
Yep.
He's amazing at it. And so once he hit him, you can tell he was just like, I hurt him. So he tried to pounce. That's the champion in him. I'm not mad at him for doing that. I get it. It was just that line wasn't as hurt as you thought he was.
Do you think Kamaru Usman had a really big impact on his camp?
No.
No?
No.
Nothing?
I think that, that might have been the security blanket there the day of or some shit, but at the end of the day, I think he's been working with his amazing team that they have. Eric Nixon, you got Dewey Cooper and these boys, all these guys that he's been working with for the last few years. I think it's just time in the gym. I think time spent. I think maybe it was just his security blanket at the end of the day, but there was nothing that Kamaru could have taught him in the last week that would have helped him for this.
Not even like in the wrestling compartment a little bit, because they were showing those videos, and not like Kamaru Usman's going to be there wrestling with Francis, but maybe some tips in that department, because it showed Francis defending a takedown the same way he defended it against Stipe.
But that tells me that's something he's been working on in the gym. He probably was just reiterating something that they've been working on. Remember, don't forget to do this. It's not like you're not gonna go out there on some Steven Seagal shit, tell the motherfucker some shit right beforehand, and they're gonna. It's just it don't work that way. He's been drilling these things forever. You know
kick him in the middle. Kick him, throw that kick in the middle, and you'll knock him out. I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a deep cut for you MMA fans. Got y'all.
Yeah, but we cannot forget that Stipe is still one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Just because Francis beat him once,
one of the greatest.
The
greatest heavyweight of all time. And for everybody, dude, because I've been hearing some wild shit, and we'll move on in a second, but dude, have you been hearing people talking about, and I've seen it out online, man, Stipe ain't the GOAT, Stipe ain't this, you guys can't say he's the greatest of all time. Fam, look at this man's resume. Just because you get knocked out don't mean shit. Everybody in this sport gets touched. That's what the fuck it is.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever read that, but that's crazy talk. That's absolutely crazy talk. But if I'm Stipe Miocic right now, and the damage that I've taken in the past couple of fights, and getting that knocked out, like that was a pretty bad knockout, he doesn't really have anything to prove unless he has something to prove to himself. He doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. But if he personally wants to come back just to know, I still got it, and if I wanted to get this title back, I can. But Sergio, why is there not a part 3? They're 1-1 now. Why is there no talks of a part 3? Is it because the way that he got knocked out, or
because
why?
we're ready to move on? That's a couple things. First, I think we're just all ready to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone's been waiting for this moment to happen, and there's too much coming up down the pipe, right? Another thing is this: Francis Ngannou can fight tomorrow. Stipe Miocic is at least 6 months on the show.
Champ. You're right.
You know what I mean?
Champ.
So he's ready to get after it. He's ready to get on it. And then not to mention, I'm be honest with you. After watching that fight a second time, do you personally think that Stipe can do anything differently? I don't believe he can. I don't see that fight going any differently. And here's the thing, and this is the biggest reason why I feel that way. If you actually watch that fight again and you look at, do you remember in between corners Stipe's reaction? Do you remember that?
In between of this fight?
Yeah, in between rounds in the second round, between the first and second round. In between the first and second round, Stipe is sitting there, and they're starting to talk to him about what he needs to do. And his reaction was he took a deep breath. He said, I know. Just like that. I know. Once you're there, as a fighter, dude, you can tell he was like, it's not that he was checked out, but he knew. He was like, fuck. this is going to be, I literally did everything that I thought I was going to have to do to him to get him there, and he just shucked my ass off like nothing. In that moment, I think Stipe himself knew this isn't going to happen. And that's why I think he really jumped on that moment where he thought he hurt him, because he was like, "Ooh, this might be my only chance." And he was willing to put himself on the line just because he knew in his heart of hearts, I got nothing for this dude. He's too big for me. He's too strong for me. And he's hurting me with every fucking thing he does. And again, that's nothing to take away from Stipe. Yeah. Nothing at all.
Yeah, I feel like Stipe is so competitive that this is going to grind his gears so bad, and he's going to do something to somehow finagle himself back into the heavyweight picture, because he honestly, he can. If you look at those guys, other guys in the heavyweight division, you got your Derek Lewis's, you got your Cyril Gaines, you got a lot of guys coming up.
Tell me you wouldn't want to see Stipe versus Derek Lewis.
Oh, I would love to see that. I would love that matchup. But Derek Lewis, active heavyweight, Stipe not as active, so it's just going to take too long, and that's what I feel like we won't see Stipe probably till maybe next year, honestly, which is crazy to think about. But I get it. He just had a son. Congrats to Stipe and his wife, of course, on their son. But I don't think we see Stipe till next year.
I don't either.
If we see him again, we don't know. Once again, nothing to prove to the people, just something to prove to himself if he wants to do that. But at the same time, I just hate that they don't give him any kind of little bit of, like, not even one
makes you feel bad
trilogy, you know, because he did adjust well after he fought Daniel Cormier the second time. Like he still ended up beating him. But
test, though, you know what I mean? It's the eye test, and it's one of those things that you have to take a couple things into account. One, the division is actually moving. This is the first time that in history that the heavyweight division actually is kind of pumping. It looks like it's entertaining. There's guys from top to bottom that you might want to see in that heavyweight spot. You're talking about Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, Cyril Gane, fucking John Jones. And that brings me to my fucking next point. I want to ask you about this. Everyone's talking about it. They've had Twitter exchanges. Darnell, should Francis Ngannou, John Jones be next?
Positively. Yes, of course we want to see that, man. They kept talking about that before. We're going to keep talking about it now. John Jones is moving up to heavyweight. We want to see it. He's never lost before. We want to see how his body looks at that weight.
He's lost to USADA a couple times.
He's lost to USADA and cocaine a couple times, but that's his own personal decisions and preferences. But at the same time, he's beating world champs on cocaine, which is absolutely nuts. But anywho, John Jones is 6'4". John Jones 6'4". Francis Ngannou 6'4". Different body frames, but you know what? We can't even say that yet because we haven't seen the John Jones heavyweight body. I know he's putting up some pics, some videos, and certain kind of things, but we have not completely seen what John Jones looks at this weight, and I'm very curious to see that as well. John Jones is a guy that can figure out a lot of these people, a lot of fighters that he's fought, especially heavy strikers. He's had heavy strikers he's fought at 205. Yes. All these guys that were going to knock him out with one strike, one overhand right. If he catches him once, that's it. The Glover Teixeiras, the Vitor Belforts, all these fast, heavy-headed guys. And what happened to them? They went down. I know it's a big difference.
Are we comparing these guys to Mr. Ford Escort?
I was getting there. I know there's a huge difference between those guys and Francis Ngannou, of course. Huge difference. But if anybody can figure out a guy like Francis Ngannou, it's John Jones. If anybody has been in there with heavyweights in his training camps, it's John Jones. It's going to be intriguing, but I don't know how the UFC is going to get it together.
Now, here's one thing, and I'm glad you somewhat mentioned it, and this is something that, because everyone gets enamored with size, right? And he puts on muscle and stuff, but we don't know how he's going to react heavier. We've only seen him competing at 205 pounds, where he's pretty much going from about 230 and down. He's added about 15 pounds of muscle over the years. He might be a little slower. And yes, he's going to be stronger, but let's be very honest. I don't care how fucking strong he gets. He's not going to be as strong as Francis Ngannou. He's not going to be able to just bully him around. It's not going to happen. And here's the thing. If Francis Ngannou has an iota of wrestling takedown defense and you are forced to stand with him for 25 minutes, good luck. Yeah, good luck. That's all I have to say about that shit. Look, I think John Jones is great. I think everybody knows how I feel about him. Well, personally, he's a schmuck. But in terms of athlete in the cage itself, in the air, he's the GOAT. It's him or Demetrius Johnson. That's what it is. So the dude is incredible, man. I cannot wait to see. Now, we do have, so that is the fight that's going on next. You're starting to hear little negotiations. What do you think about Joe Rogan right after the fight? First thing out of his mouth is like, oh man, Derek Lewis should be next. And then you got fucking, Mr. Company Man, fucking Joe Rogan saying that shit. Then turns around, Dana White saying that John Jones probably want to go back to 85. Is that just a little bit of jockeying? What's going on, man?
I love it. When Dana White said that, I love it because I knew it was going to bring out that rage in John Jones. And remember, Dana White is a businessman. He knows how to get these fighters blood boiling. Very, very smart of him for him to say that. And as soon as he said it, what did John Jones go do? He was on Twitter within 2 seconds on Twitter, just talking up a storm. I'm scared. 185. I gained all this weight. And you think I'm not going to fight at heavyweight? The fuck you talking about, Dana White?
I got mind control over Debo. That's what Dana White just did.
Dana White got mind control over him. As much as shit as John Jones has talked in the past, he always ended coming back to his baby, which is the UFC. Came right back. The UFC has dealt with a lot of his bullshit, if we're being very honest. Him getting arrested as recent as, what was that, last year or the year before when he got arrested for shooting a gun in the air and drinking Jorge Masvidal tequila, mezcal, whatever it is. Come on, the UFC has taken care of this guy. So I feel that Dana White knew what he was doing. Dana White can kind of say whatever he wants. But at the same time, when they talk about Derek Lewis, I want to see that. I like that too. I love that too. Derek Lewis does always puts on a good show. I know the first time they fought, it was boring. There was a lot that was going on between both of them. Francis had just come off that Stipe loss, and he just looked confused in there.
And Derek Lewis's back was gunshot. He needed surgery.
He needed back surgery. Yeah, so it was two guys who mentally and physically were not there, and now these guys are fighting in like almost their primes, and they just look amazing. So sometimes,
terrifying.
Now that I'm talking about it, I start to get a little bit more excited for the Derek Lewis a little bit, and then I get the John Jones, and I'm just like, I don't know which one I want. But I feel like the easier fight to make is Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. If they want something now, they want a co-main event for that July Conor McGregor fight, or put that as a main event on something.
Make that the main event. That's the main event.
You gotta fight. The heavier fighters should get the main event, but absolutely. I don't know. You gotta fight. What gets you more excited? Mm-hmm.
What gets me more excited?
Yeah.
Okay, so John Jones, right? It has to be John Jones because of the idea of the greatest fighter of all time finally, after 12 fucking years, moving up and challenging against the scariest heavyweight champion that there's ever been.
Yeah.
So that in itself, we can sell the fuck out of this fight. And if John Jones is smart, he'll do a couple different things. And again, while we're talking about this, let's just go ahead and transition to the next topic, right? Dude, John Jones is going back and forth on Twitter. He's leaving. He's coming. He looks like a disgruntled girlfriend. Like, bro, like, I don't know. Buddy's coming off all kinds of weak sauce, in my opinion. I will say this. Do you think he's playing it wrong with the UFC right now, trying to pretty much air their dirty laundry out for the world to see on social media? Because let's be honest, we all know that has not worked for anybody ever.
No, I think it's extremely stupid of him to make that decision to keep airing out all that stuff. Is the things that he's saying wrong? No, they're not. Not everything he's saying is wrong. There's some stuff he might not be too accurate about, and he sounds like he's speaking
probably underpaid.
He's probably all the fighters are underpaid, except this guy right here, because he's done a lot, so I can't say he's underpaid. He might be
overpaid. The rest of them are underpaid.
But John Jones has.
You can't win one fight in 4 years and make that much money. I don't care.
I mean, but if you're selling $1 million pay-per-views, you ain't got no choice, and you can barter as much as you want
because they pub him more than everybody else.
They could pub John.
But you know what? Conor McGregor is one of the most important characters in MMA history. He is the most popular figure in MMA history, and I will never argue that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So we can continue. That's our
guys.
That's our own fucking McGregor.
We'll have a whole podcast on Conor McGregor one day for sure. But I feel that if you look at John Jones' past paint, like when he's gotten paid, you never see anything more than $500,000, which is nuts. which is crazy to see. I know he gets pay-per-view points and he ends up making
what
millions.
pay-per-view buy? But he don't sell pay-per-views either.
He doesn't
That nigga,
sell
he don't no
pay-per-views. Like if you look
he's not a draw.
The highest pay-per-view draws he's had were against Daniel Cormier, both times. Every other time John Jones has main evented a card,
who cares?
He's not passing 300, 400K buys, man. That's low. That's very low for somebody who's considered the greatest of all time.
Max Holloway gets more buys than he does.
He does. He 100% does. So, John Jones, what are you doing to promote yourself? What's the other things that you're doing to get yourself to that point to where you can ask for that amount of money besides what you just do in a cage?
What you
I
mean,
get
wearing
that.
Tactical vests and chasing people down in the middle of Albuquerque ain't it?
Yeah, like I don't get that. Like I get that that's your own personal thing you love to do, but what are you doing to promote yourself besides your extracurricular activities that you've had issues with? It's hard to say. And it's hard to scream at a company who's had your back through every single one of these times. Every single one of these times, they were there for you. Dana White was there in the courtroom when John Jones was in an orange jumpsuit. Dana White didn't have to be there. He could have sent a lawyer. He could have sent anybody else. Dana White was sitting there in the courtroom to have his back. So for John Jones to air this dirty laundry, and this is the way he's going to go about it, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
It's weak sauce. It's straight weak sauce. We all know, as a person, I think John Jones handles his business real shitty. He really does. I believe John Jones deserves to get paid more. Okay, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think they have truly gotten him. Look at all the title defenses and everything that he's gotten throughout his career. The champions that he has beaten throughout his career, and what he has headlined, the pay-per-views that he's headlined, he has earned it. So, yes, he deserves a big payday, especially if he's going to go ahead and move up and fight a guy who's, let's be honest, this will be the only time in his career that he's going to be the underdog going into a fight. I am not mad at him for wanting to get paid on this one, but there's a way that he can go about doing it, and he just look nasty. He looks nasty. He looks like somebody who just doesn't understand what he's already gotten.
Yeah.
They've given you everything. Dude, you had a fucking Nike deal. You had a Gatorade deal, and you pissed it down your fucking leg. That is not the UFC's fault. That is your fault. Because at the end of the day, if his ass did what he was supposed to do, dude, he would be the biggest star in fucking MMA. He shit the bed on that one. So all this extra shit, I honestly don't give a fuck. I don't even feel bad for him.
Yeah, it's definitely enabling on the UFC's part too, because they allow guys like Conor McGregor to talk on Instagram, on Twitter. They've allowed a lot of people to just talk about them and not reprimand them for doing stuff like that. So it's a little bit of UFC's fault as well. But at the same time too, I don't know what's going on there with John Jones's team and how they're going to negotiate stuff. And they said they should have a contract by this week. I hope they do. That'd be great. That would be something amazing to look forward to. But do I think it's going to happen? I think we see Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou before we see John Jones and Francis Ngannou, and that hurts me to say.
Yeah, and you know what? I hate to say you're right. The thing that really upsets me about this is that the UFC shit the bed too, right? They could have figured this out all of 2020. Yep. Could have figured this out, and what should have happened the moment that Ngannou won. They're supposed to drop them fucking lights black. Doom. Fucking promo. Biggest promo. John Jones. Francis Ngannou. It should have been dude, I'm telling you.
It's like he did. It's like he did when Jan won that fight. Why was John Jones not at this fight? Why was John Jones not at this fight?
I'm telling you, it's I'm talking about shit goes dark and that nigga comes out the back like the Undertaker. That's how that should have happened.
Levitating from the top.
You know what I'm
coming
saying?
under from the ring.
And then here's the thing. Right after that, you know what you do? Pay-per-view on sale now. Bomb! And you put the fucking pay-per-view on sale from now to who fucking knows when. Dog, they shit the fucking
Sergio Vicente marketing right there, UFC. You got him if you need it.
Dog.
Honestly, let me ask you this question. Do you think sometimes the UFC is a little boring with some promos and some things that they do? Like, I do love a good Bellator entrance. Like, I love the screen. I know it's very WWE, but I love to see that. I love to see that. I love to see that kind of just a show put on, you know? Like that, UFC's kind of too old school with that. And I hope one day they start adding different things. You know, when they did the whole performances with Conor McGregor and Chad Mendes? I love that. I had goosebumps watching that. It's just like, oh my God, this is a spectacle. Like, I don't even give Triller Bull a shit for the performances they have in between fights. Do your thing. Do as much of a spectacular of a show that you can. And I feel like the UFC does not do that enough. You just saying that got me excited. It's like, why not have John Jones just come out of nowhere, even if it's in the apex?
Let him know.
Come down and just like, oh, I'm here, baby. I'm here.
Shout out to the Fight Dialogue, by the way.
Fight Dialogue, Aldrich Warner. Let's go, baby.
But dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense, right? Like, they shit the bed with this. They could have been building this. If they all talk about these pay-per-view buys, and finally have. And here's the thing: there's also fucking, Florida. Y'all nuts. You're crazy as fuck. We could have a stadium show. John Jones, Francis Ngannou. Tickets on sale now. Fucking streamers and shit go flying everywhere. Like, I don't understand. Like, why? How do y'all go just fuck it up like that? They fucked it up. Because here's the thing: this type of fight, John Jones says, because John Jones right now makes somewhere around between $3 and $6 million per fight. Yep. Yes, he says 500, but he makes about 3 and 6 per. Right?
Yeah.
He said all he wants is like 10. Y'all should have just gave him the 10. Dana White, you could have pulled that shit out your fucking pocket. Take $10 million. Take that shit. Let's go. It doesn't make sense. You're going to make the money back because at the end of the day, we know for a fact. Tell me right now. You look at me in my face and tell me that fucking fight is going to make at least 2.3 million buys. 2.3
million buys?
That fight gets 2.3 million.
You think it's going to 2.3 million buys? I don't know.
If they did it the right
way. If they do it the right way. If they do it the right way.
Like they were supposed to. Here's the thing. Regardless of the fact, that fight still makes at least 1.5.
Yeah, for sure. I can agree to. But I feel like they're going to go their same old school route, and they're going to just try to this fight is big enough. We don't have to sell it that much, and they're just going to go off of that. But I don't know. UFC is weird with their promotions.
World tour, bro. They need a world tour.
And they should have my man Burt Watson do the promotion for the commercials, because I don't know how they do not have that man's voice for a promo. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Why? Because they're not fucking brothers in
Can you imagine? They don't got that exclusive. They don't got that exclusive.
You know what I'm saying? That's why. All right. Speaking of somebody who just really has not been swaggy at all recently, Tyron Woodley got beat up, choked out, and lost to Vicente Luque. Okay, very sad to see. Watching one of the greatest of all time, and that's exactly who he is. He's one of the greatest of all time. On the Mount Rushmore of welterweight goats, He is right there. Tyron Woodley. Is it time for Tyron Woodley to retire in your estimation?
I wrote a piece yesterday, and you guys can see it on my page for sure. That about Tyron Woodley, his career, things that he's done, and kind of where he's at right now. He went into that fight guns a-blazing. Every single time Tyron Woodley has fought, he is backed up against the cage, but he went full forward. I was just like, oh shit, this is scary, man. This is the Tyron Woodley we saw against Robbie Lawler that wanted it, went pushed forward, and maybe had some different kind of a mindset going into this fight. For sure, you can see that. He caught Luque twice with big, heavy shots, but he was just looping them too much, which was just very weird to see, and it showed that maybe his game didn't progress as much. Like, we didn't see anything new from Woodley that we've never seen before in the past. We just saw him just pushing forward more than he did before. He's still in shape. He still got cardio. He went 5 rounds with a lot of guys, and he wasn't like exhausted or just like, oh my God, get me out of here kind of thing. But
you have to have a gas tank to get beat up for 15 rounds straight.
He just might not be the caliber fighter that he used to be and not compete with these guys in that top 10 maybe of that welterweight division anymore. Do I think he should retire? I would never tell a fighter to retire. I'm not one to do that. But I think Tyron Woodley can still bang with them, but maybe in a different organization. Go win a different belt. Go to Bellator if you want. Fight some of those guys. PFL, enter that tournament. There's not the hardest guys in there. He definitely can compete with them if he wants to. Oof. And maybe it gives him a different kind of motivation when he goes elsewhere, because just being in that UFC octagon kind of reminds him of the past couple fights that he got really burnt out and beat in. So maybe him going somewhere will give him that fresh mindset and everything that he wants to do. Yeah, fresh coat of paint. But he is going to be 40 years old next year. That's not super young for a fighter, especially welterweight guys, because you don't see guys at welterweight fight that long.
I'm glad you said it. Yep.
Ultimately, it's up to Tyron Woodley if he wants to keep making money, or does he want to go into the entertainment industry, which he's been talking about for a long time. And I kind of feel that he's more interested in that than he is for fighting. Honestly, I feel like he's more interested in entertainment than the fighting part. So I'd like to personally see Tyron Woodley just take your accolades. You don't have anything to prove to anybody anymore. You defended your title 4 times, and he can just ride into the sunset, get into the entertainment industry. He hosts a show on TMZ. He's making music. You guys can say however you feel about his music, but at least he's doing it. I think he has.
He had a great interview on Mystic Black. I mean,
we did a great interview. I think he has plenty of options, but it's up to him if he still feels that he has that fire.
All right, so Tyron Woodley, champion, second longest reigning UFC champion in history from 2016, 2019. He's defeated in his title defenses Robbie Lawler, Wonderboy twice, Damian Maia, and Till. He also, I mean, dude, he's been knocking motherfuckers out. He's beaten Gastelum. He's beaten Josh Koscheck, Jay Heron. I mean, the dude has been one of the greatest that we have ever seen in that weight class. With all that being said, it's time to go home. It's time to retire. He has lost. This is sad, man. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that this is what happens to great fighters, right? The pack catches up to them and they just start getting beat down. It was one thing when he was getting unanimous decision lost, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now he's getting finished. And here's the thing. You go out and look at that fight, he was reckless. He wasn't aggressive. People are all like proud of him going out in the shield. I'm not, because at the end of the day, that wasn't Tyron Woodley. I've always looked at as such an intelligent fighter. He didn't fight intelligently. He went out there and just kept on throwing a right hand over and over and over and over again. He wasn't even throwing it down the pipe. I mean, that's the reason Vicente Luque caught him with that shot. Vicente Luque was like, oh, you're just going to throw that again? So he just caught him with a fucking left hook. He just slipped and caught him. He was like, oh, thanks. Bang. And he dropped him with it. It was an embarrassing performance. I hate to be the guy to say it, but it's true. I was embarrassed for him. This is a guy that looks like this was my only option. I can't do what I'm comfortable doing, which is just sitting back and just taking this ass whooping. So now I'm just going to do this is my last ditch effort. That's what the fuck it was. It looked like a desperation play. It was a fucking Hail Mary. And he got, for all practical purposes, he got knocked out. I mean, this was bad. This was sad. And here's the thing. We're talking about him going to another organization. Okay, they're going to put him in another organization. Because of his name value, he goes right to the fucking top. Good luck fighting fucking Lima in Bellator. He's going to knock his ass out too. Good luck fighting fucking Paul Day. Good luck fighting Michael Venom Page. Where is he safe?
Michael Venom Page. Do not talk to me about Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page. The first time Michael Venom Page fought somebody that was actually a good fighter, what happened? He got knocked out.
Don't hold on to the one name I'm taking that takes away from the actual points that I'm making.
No, I know, but I have to make that because Michael Venom Page drives me nuts, bro. I think he's good. I think Michael Venom Page.
Michael Venom Page beats Tyron Woodley. There's no doubt in my fucking mind. He knocks him the fuck out. There's no doubt in my mind. There's none whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, Tyron Woodley at this point in time isn't a top 10 lightweight or welterweight in any organization. He's not. So he needs to retire. He has so much that he can do outside of fighting. And I hate to, because I've been a fan of his. Michael Venom Page fucks him up. Everybody in Bellator fucks him up. He goes over to the fucking PFL. He goes to PFL. Go fight that little fucking that little Hawaiian.
Where is that?
He gets fucked up by the little Hawaiian too.
Ray Cooper the second?
Cooper Jr. Whatever the second. Fucks his ass up too. Dude, there's nowhere you go that you're safe.
Where's this? I was looking for this Bellator welterweight. They have rankings down.
I saw that.
You're gonna say he's not top 10 anywhere? That's hard to say, especially with Bellator.
He's definitely not top 5. I'll say that.
Top 5. Okay, then we could talk top 10, man. There's some guys that he'd probably kill if he goes in there. But less pressure. That's the thing. He'll have less pressure if he goes somewhere else. He had so much pressure going on in this fight. Last fight on the contract, 3-fight losing streak.
What do you think where does his legacy go if he goes to one of those smaller organizations and gets dusted?
Oh, that's gonna affect his legacy a lot for sure. That's why he has to be careful. He doesn't need to do this, but that's something on himself. If he feels he still has a fight left in him, if he still feels like he can push forward to something, of course, do it. But I don't know, man. Just like I said last time, he just wasn't speaking to like, oh, I have this new fire, I have this new motivation. He didn't say any of those words, and that's what I said last time. I know I changed my pick after in our chat, because I felt like Luke was fanboying him a lot, and he was just like, oh man, Woodley, former champ, all this stuff. But
he was just being polite.
I guess so. Yeah, now looking at it, he's literally just a very, very nice guy. And I haven't heard Vicente Luque talk that much, so I guess that kind of threw me off. But besides that, on the show last week, I said Luque is going to go in there. Woodley doesn't really talk about anything to where he has a different set of motivation. Where is your motivation? That's my thing. Does he need to train with people who are younger than him that kind of can bring that fire out of him? Maybe, but whatever he's doing now, it's just not working. It's just not working. And it sucks because, he's working with Din Thomas too. And Din Thomas puts in work with these guys. And I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I honestly don't know what's happening.
I don't get it, man. I wish him the best. Truly, I think he's one of the good guys in the sport, and unfortunately, he has not gotten the respect that I believe he has deserved throughout his career, and that sucks, But let's talk about the guy who actually fucking won.
Yeah,
the nice guy. Let's talk about fucking Vicente Luque. Dude has been in the UFC since he was 21 years old, guys. 21 years old, and this win was his 12th welterweight knockout. That is number 2 all time in welterweight history. I'm sorry, his finish. That's second all time in welterweight history, which is crazy. Amazing. And he's only fucking 29. Bro,
and he's fought good guys. He's fought good guys.
What's next for Vicente Luque? Because this was the first that the knock on him has always been, can he beat the big one? He couldn't beat Wonder Boy. He couldn't beat the big name. That's the big name. Do you think he's broken past it? Is he going to be a top 5 guy? What do you think is next?
It's going to be hard for him to be a top 5 guy if he calls out guys like Nate Diaz. They got to stop doing this stuff. Stop calling out Diaz brothers after fights. You see the Diaz brothers, they're not fighting right now. They only take huge names. Stop doing this. Everybody wants to do this so they can become more popular. Become more popular by doing what you do in that cage, and trust me, you will get there. You'll get to the top. That's what's not next for Vicente Luque is a Diaz brother. Pass. I don't want to see it. I'm not interested. I think he should have called out Michael Chiesa. I think he should have called out Leon Edwards. There's so many people he could have called out, and you call out a guy who's not even in your division. Vicente Luque, you gotta be smarter than that. What is that? What is that? I did not love that. I did not love that at all. So I think next for Vicente Luque is somebody in that top 6. Maybe fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson again, and I feel like Thompson would be down because he's a guy who likes to stay active. He'll fight somebody a second time.
And nobody's fighting him right now.
Nobody's fighting him right now. Is it a risky fight for Luque? Kind of is, because of what Thompson did to him last time. He put on a freaking
risky for both of them.
Risky for both of them, because Thompson can go down if he loses, and Vicente Luque can kind of stay stagnant, and just people will think, you know what, he can never be in that top 5. But at the end of the day, he's very young. He's only 29 years old, as you said. He has a lot of time. But call out somebody in the top 6. I hope he goes on Instagram and just changes his call out or something. I don't know.
I can see that. I hear what you're saying. And I'll be honest with you, the fight fan in me, when I think of that fight stylistically, Diaz versus Luque, stylistically is a fun fight. Mm-hmm. As a fight fan, I love that fight, right? Yeah. But for Luque, in terms of getting closer to a title, you're absolutely correct. It doesn't fucking make sense. As a fight fan,
yeah,
I like it. And here's the thing. Realistically, as a businessman, I like that fight. So I understand where he's coming from, because at the end of the day, Nick will give him name recognition. It is a very, very winnable fight. And it is a fight that, because of the style that Luque fights, Nate might be interested in it, because he comes to fight. And Nate might be, but because he just beat Woodley. So now, since he might have a little name recognition, we don't know. It's hypotheticals, right? We're just throwing out hypotheticals.
Yeah, no, for sure. But Nate Diaz he's a money guy now, especially after you make that McGregor money. You don't want nothing else but that top tier money. He ain't gonna get that fight against Vicente Luque. That's not gonna happen. Real. As many people as like a big sell that the Diaz brothers are, you're not gonna sell enough to make that same kind of money, and you're not gonna get too much recognition doing that. And do you want to fight the welterweight champion? You want to fight Usman with Nate Diaz? I don't think you want that heat, man. I don't think you want that. No, he
Now,
does not
you
want
know
that
what
smoke.
would be a good fight? I would love to see him against Colby Covington. Now that
Kobe
is a
Covington,
good
another guy.
fight.
But you
That is a
know,
great
yeah,
fight.
you know Kobe ain't gonna fight him. You know he's not gonna fight him. He's just gonna keep denying I'm not doing favors.
Yo,
And Kobe shot himself in the foot.
Who is he gonna fight? Who the fuck is Kobe gonna fight?
He's gonna be out for the rest of the year. Remember, I think I said this our first show or something like that. Him not accepting that fight, shooting himself in the foot, and now we're not gonna see him for a while. We're not gonna see him for a while. That's terrible. That is terrible.
And the fucked up thing about that is if you're not in there, these other guys are in there and they're getting better.
Yeah.
That means he's not gonna be getting better. And I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's a scary part.
You know a fight that he doesn't want right now? And people are gonna look at me crazy when I say this. Yo, he don't want Leon Edwards right now.
No, absolutely not.
He does not want Leon Edwards right now.
No, absolutely
Leon
not.
is hungry too. He go out there and fight Leon because here's the thing: people forget Leon can grapple his fucking ass off, dude.
Yep.
Kamaru Usman had a fucking hell of a time getting that motherfucker down, and he's so much better now. You know what I'm saying? And dude, Leon Edwards striking is far better than Kobe Covington's in terms of technical. Now, Kobe Covington puts pace on you. I will say that. But dude, so does fucking Leon Edwards. It's like I think he is so underappreciated, dude. I went back and I've been watching all of his fights, right? Because I was like, when we were getting ready to watch him fight recently, I was like, let me check it out, dude. He is so fucking good. I'm giving him his flowers now. People don't appreciate that motherfucker. He is so fucking good. All right, moving on to somebody who else was really fucking good. And moving on, dude, this fight card. The fight card was actually entertaining. It was a relatively entertaining card. We had stoppages. We had like everything that you want to see drama wise in a fight. But we had some drama here. We had some showmanship. We had a fucking spike of a fucking stoppage, bro. Is the Sugar Show back?
That's what I was going to talk about. But hold on, Serge. Give me 1 second. I made the mistake again. I got to grab my charger. My laptop's about to die. Give me 1 second.
Worries. Yeah,
one second. I will be right back, guys. Yeah. Live TV. Once again, this is live. I apologize.
No worries.
This is live.
No worries. So check it out, guys. While he does that, this card in itself to me was amazing, right? I had a lot of fun watching the card and look at everything you wanted. We had these up and coming guys, and I'm talking about Sugar Sean a little bit in this one. And one thing I'm going to say about Sean is this. He went out there and showed me so much. He goes out there and defeated Thomas Almeida. And a lot of the biggest questions that he had leading up to this fight was, yo, can he actually take the damage, especially on his front leg? I know he was saying that at the end of the day, you know, he still is undefeated, which, let's keep it a bean. Your ass, not only have you been defeated, Chito Rivera knocked you out, okay? Let's just call a spade a spade. It is what it is. Let's move on. But it was fun when he was, you know, Bruce Buffer did the intro. He said 12-1, and Sugar Sean looks at the camera and holds up that 0. I'm not mad at it. You can't
undefeated, baby.
That mentality. Undefeated, baby. That's how we get it cracking. My brother's back. But here, let me ask you this, bro. Now that we got you back on here. Watching him perform, he goes out there. He has all the bravado. He has everything that you're looking for in a potential superstar. This is a great bounce back fight. He fought a very tough guy, albeit Almeida is on this is his 4th fight losing streak. He's on a Tyron Woodley streak of his own, and he's been getting beat up. But he comes to fucking fight. And this, I saw a lot that I really liked on this one. I'm gonna throw it to you first, bro. Is the Sugar Show back?
Sugar, sugar, how you get so fly? Sugar, sugar, how you get so fly? Sugar Sean is back, man.
Shout out to Frankie J.
Shout out to Frankie J. And I forget the other guy who's the Baby Bash.
Bash, straight up.
Who's very interested in MMA, man. He talks to a lot of these guys. But Sugar Sean O'Malley is back. I loved watching him, man. I loved watching him. It was
so much fun to watch.
Yes, he's so flowy out there. He's throwing spinning back kicks. He's throwing very hard overhand rights, leg kicks. He's showing his overall complete game, and he is huge. Let's not forget how big he is for that weight class. My God, man, that guy is very, very big. And he came in there, a lot of pressure on his back, because if he lost his fight, he's one of those guys, he can't lose too many of these fights, or he's going to get immediately kicked down so fast because of how much he talks, how much shit he talks, how much he says he's undefeated. You got to back that up. He has a lot to back up, and he backed it up on Saturday. I wish he would have got that first round knockout, and I got a little nervous for him after that because I'm just like, oh, man, he went for it too much there. could have caught him, and Almeida was catching him with some kicks. But besides that, Sugar Sean dominated.
He really showed some like veteran savvy too.
Yeah.
After he didn't get it, he was calm. He didn't rush it.
Nope.
He still let the game come to him. It's one of those things that you're right, dude. I love his fucking style, man. It looks so, and he's the same reason why I love, for instance, like Adesanya, right?
Yeah.
That same type of flowiness. I'm sorry to cut you off,
bro. No, for sure. And it's cool to see because he's not a guy, I've been doing mixed martial arts my whole entire life. No, man, just playing football, basketball, and like tennis or something like that. And he just was like, you know what? Yeah, he saw a little jumper at the end. He you know what? He just was just like, you know what? This looks cool, and caught on to it like later on in his life. And look how much he's learned. These are the scary kind of guys. He's like a John Jones that can learn very fast, and all they do is get better, and they adjust and they learn. So that's very good on Sugar Sean to keep getting better, to show how good he is. And I heard through a little through the grapevine, freaking Dominic Cruz wants to fight Sugar Sean, and I am sold. I want to watch that. I would love to see that.
Ooh, that would be such a good fight,
two of the
dude.
bigger bantamweights too. How do you feel about that fight? You think Sugar Sean, Dominic Cruz next, or do you see Sugar Sean and Marlon Vera part 2 because he never lost?
Nah, fuck that. I don't want to see him with Marlon Vera again. Okay, I've seen that fight. Marlon Vera is a monster. Okay, and I understand that. That's totally fine. But him versus Dominic Cruz, this is what you do, right? The UFC, let's be very honest, they love Dominic Cruz, but at the end of the day, he's problematic. You know what they like doing with guys that are problematic? They like sending them out to the slaughter. He's getting a little older. They saw him with a tough fight against Case Keening. They're like, okay, yeah, let's let you fight. Because here's the thing. It's one of the two things, right? Either A, the Sugar Sean show is ready for a title contention. Or
shoot him up
B,
real quick.
You know what I'm saying? Or B,
I wonder if they added it.
He is still the greatest of all time in this weight class. He deserves a title shot. It's literally one of those crossroad fights that can be, you can sell the fuck out of it. I love it. What do I think happens? Sugar Sean probably spikes his fucking head on the canvas too.
I think that would happen too, but it would be a very hard fight to calculate for him because, you know, Dominic Cruz can still move, man. He's not that easy guy to hit, but will be the first time Dominic Cruz fights somebody that's bigger than him. Because Dominic Cruz is usually the bigger bantamweight, and now he's going to fight a big 5'11". Is he 5'11"? I think he's about 5'11", right?
He's 5'11". That dude's like, because I'm like, he might be a smooth 6 feet.
6 feet, something like that. But he's a big guy, so I don't know. I think it'd be very interesting, and that could be a co-main event. That could be a main event, honestly, especially with the amount of fans that O'Malley has.
Fight night.
Yeah, fight night, main event. I would love to see that. Oh my God, give me that fight. Give me that fight. And I love Dominic Cruz for being that veteran that's not afraid to take on these up and comers. I love that. I love that because a lot of these guys won't do it. It's like, no, I only want to fight up. Oh no, I only want to fight for a championship. Because Dominic Cruz used to be that guy. I'm not fighting unless it's for a belt. And now he's fighting guys that don't have belts or may not even put him in title contention. So this is good on Dominic Cruz, and I feel like he has maybe a different fire that he's breathing out.
I love it. If this fight happens, I'm with you. I think this is the fight to make. And now that I've heard it and people have Chael Sonnen broke it and it's been talking about it, this is really the only fight I want for both of them, to be honest with you. I don't even care about the rest of the division. That's the fight that I want to see. I am so high on this kid. I think he is so fucking good. Do I think he'll be a champion in this weight class? I don't know. This weight class is a shark tank. It's probably the deepest weight class in the sport currently.
You got a lot of fights coming up too.
So I don't know. You know what I mean? But I think that he is a problem. And I cannot wait to see what happens going forward with him. Brother Darnell, anything else on this fight card that you want to highlight or bring up?
No, not really. That was like pretty much the main people that really impressed me on that card. There was a guy, Malarkey, who knocked out Kamar Worthy really fast too. And Kamar Worthy is no scrub, man. So that was big on Malarkey as well. So we got to shout him out.
Coach Khabib 3-0.
Oh, Coach Khabib 3-0. Of course, we got to shout him out. He's still going in there. He's got his brother's fight on Friday at Bellator. Usman Nurmagomedov his fight, and Khabib flew to Connecticut, coaching again. This guy is nonstop. So shout to Khabib for being One of the best coaches this
coach.
year. He might get nominated for Coach of the Year. You know, he can get these guys to championship levels, and all of these guys are fighting in different weight classes too. So can you imagine a bunch of Khabib's guys all champions in their weight class? Oh my God. Woo! Woo!
Dude, hey, you heard what Khabib said, right? They asked Khabib, they're like, yo, who's the best at in the UFC's lightweight division right now? You know what he said?
What'd he say?
He said Islam.
Islam.
He said Islam.
He's
like, I've been in there with these guys.
We are going to find out what's going to happen.
Yeah.
By the way, McGregor Poirier is about to be official like this week. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Red panty night for Dustin Poirier. Easy money, easy win for him. He goes out there, knocks his ass out again. And not only now, he gets the payday, and then he'll get the recognition. The only part that I'm a little sad about, and I know it's going to sound crazy that I'm saying this, it sucks that we're getting rid of Conor McGregor this way. I think Conor McGregor deserves better than this. I do. And because, again, they're doing the exact same thing they just did to Tyron Woodley. They're leading this motherfucker out to slaughter. He thinks he has a chance. He doesn't. He's about to get knocked the fuck out.
We're gonna find out. I think he can adjust. He can adjust.
Dude,
I'm still
here's
excited.
The thing. He got knocked out. I'm telling you, when you get knocked out brutally like that, you don't just come back and act like everything's all good. It literally takes, I'm telling you, it takes about a year to come back and actually be okay after getting blasted like that.
Different animal. I feel like he's a different animal, but we're gonna find out ultimately in July.
He's human. He's a fucking person.
He's a person, but I don't know. Some of these guys are different.
How can you say that when he's only won one fight in the last 5 years?
That's okay, but that's for reasons he's only won one fight in the past couple of years too. There's reasons for that. But
this is
Sergio, we could do that for a full. We could do that for a full show. We're gonna do that for a full show. But I think it's smart.
I understand being fans of dudes, but come on.
I understand what Dustin Poirier did, proud of him, but at the end of the day, it's going to be see you at the top, Michael Chandler, baby. Let's go!
Michael Chandler, yo, now that's a fight I care about. Conor McGregor can't beat none of them dudes.
It's rough up there at lightweight. It's very, very rough. One of these guys might be able to pull Khabib back. You never know.
No,
but,
they cannot.
You never know.
Coach Khabib is just going to send Islam out there to do his light work.
And Coach Khabib, you're looking a little thick, my guy. Let's make sure we don't get completely out of shape. All right, make sure.
They said he spars every week. They said he spars weekly still.
His face is looking real big. You gotta be careful. You better not go out like this. He can live life, but don't DC it up, man. Don't DC it up. Look at GSP. GSP still like he could fight tomorrow. Even Mike Swift is looking good right now too.
GSP look like somebody mama right now, okay?
With that hair, love it.
Dog, that shit look bad. That shit is, I don't know. Whoever told him to do that, that must be some Canadian stuff. I have no idea. That is not a good look. And hey, look, believe me, I understand letting it flow, brother. Gotta let it flow. I hear you. But
It's a retirement.
Well, all right, guys. With that being said, check it out. This has been episode 5 of Not Your Average MMA Podcast, Brothers in Combat. Before we get out of here, brother, anything you want to say?
To the people. Got some interviews coming this week and next week. I'll be announcing them today. So you have that information. Of course, check me out at Mystic Black MMA on YouTube, Instagram. I am there, Facebook. Find me there. Always dropping some information, and I got some good stuff for you guys this week and next week.
There we go. And on my end, on the Fight Podcast, we do also have some interviews coming up. We got our first 2 episodes of High Kicking with Serge Vicente, man. So we're going to have a good time. We're going to smoke some weed with Nicholas Maximoff of the team Diaz Disciples. Speaking of Nick and Nate Diaz. And we're also have the legend Ian McCall coming on this week as well. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And we'll also be announcing that today. But without further ado, thank you guys as always for listening. My name is Serge Vicente. There's my brother Darnell Giovanni of Mystic Black. We love you guys. We'll see you next time right here on Brothers in Combat. Deuces.